Welcome back to the High Vibe Life podcast with me, your host, Moira Casava. I have one of my favorite friends, favorite humans, favorite coworkers in the house today, Romeo Marquez Jr. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Moira, for inviting me here. It's a gift and an honor.
Yeah, awesome. I'm so excited for this conversation, and I'm going to be brutally honest with the audience here. So, they already know me. I'm very fly by the seat of my pants wherever the conversation goes. So are you. It's so much of the magic of why you've been able to create what you've been able to create in your life. So much of why I have as well. And so we are really flying by the seat of our pants. We don't have a topic. We don't have anything. We're just going to let it rip. Because honestly, that's kind of what we want the topic to be, right?
Yes.
Like how you can step into that flow, how you can step into that energy, how we can allow the magic to unfold in front of us without forcing it, right?
Yes. Yeah. I'm all about more flow, less force. More flow, less force.
Amen. Well, Romeo, you are, if people don't know, you are the CEO, the Chief Energy Officer of my newly launched business, which is really your newly launched business too, the Energy Institute. So we get to work together on that front. But I would love for people to know just how amazing you are. You are literally doing so much in the world. You have been doing so much in the world for the last, however many years I've known you. I mean, you're literally popping up in different parts of the country, different parts of the world. I'm like, what is he doing now? So will you give us a little bit of the backstory to Romeo?
Yeah. I'll make a long story short. As a young kid growing up in the San Francisco Bay Area, I loved breakdancing. That was my thing. I loved performing. And I did that all the way up until high school, until I started playing sports. I played football and volleyball. I was an athlete, right? I was the jock, but inside my heart, Moira, I wanted to do theater. I wanted to perform, but I didn't because I was an athlete. Us athletes don't do that. But really, I was afraid of failure. I was really afraid of rejection, not being good enough, not being accepted. And so while I was, the high school athlete, I knew a lot of people in high school, but I wasn't living my ultimate truth or the truth at that time. And fast forward, I went to a community college right after high school. And that's where I took my first acting class. And there was an audition for a play. And I was like, ooh, I want to audition for that. But I don't know if any of you have ever experienced this, where you want to do something, but you hold back because of the fears and limiting beliefs come up. And then the doubts prevents you from actually taking action. Anyway, I go up to my first acting teacher. And I go, hey, Valerie, there's an audition for a play. Should I do it? And she said these words that changed my life. She said, Romeo, you won't know if you don't go. And I was like, girl, say that again. She said, you won't know if you don't go. And when you go, make bold choices. Fast forward, showed up, got the part, led to other parts. And then I went to UCLA to study acting. Wow. And so that led to other opportunities. I ended up teaching acting. I opened up an acting school. I opened up a performing arts school. I had students on like Disney and Nickelodeon, teaching them the success principles. I started in personal development by reading books. In fact, my sister gave me a quote calendar when she moved out of the house to make sure I wasn't making bad decisions. And that led me into really immersing myself into the work that I do. So when people say, where is all this energy and positivity coming from? I go, this is a practice. This is over 25 years of internal work. Fast forward through all that, different opportunities started showing up. And I started to realize that I had a passion for inspiring others, teaching others. And that led to speaking, coaching. Along the way, I met Jack Canfield, as you know, and just one thing led to another. And, it started with literally elementary, middle school students, and then high school students, and then college students, and then the corporations, and then, getting to travel across the world, doing what I continue to get called to do. In other words, this is what I like to say. I go wherever God calls me. And so it's just, and I can come all the way back to just showing up. You won't know if you don't go. And what the important lesson of it all is showing up for you. Not what anybody else thinks, not what someone else says, like, because what's true to you, what calls your heart. Wayne Dyer quote that I really love is, don't die with your music still in you.
Still in you.
Right? Don't die with the gifts, talents, and messages. It's there for you. It's there within you for a reason. And so my passion right now is helping people live out their calling so that they share their light. And that's how we bring a bigger light to a dark world.
Wow. God, you just said so many things, And it's so interesting because I recorded a podcast right before this with an incredible woman. And I just kind of want to paint this picture because now we know our topic. This is where we're going. She was talking about how she'd been on social media. She'd been in the health and wellness world kind of for, really her whole adult life. And, she hit this place in her career where she made some personal decisions, right? So that personal calling, what am I called to do? What's that uncomfortable step, that change that I'm being she was a healthy person. She made some good, healthy choices, but she was really being called to make some difficult decisions, like going off of alcohol, walking away from, processed sugar, like things that really clear up what you and I know as that channel to that higher calling. And so she was making these decisions, and it was funny because she was so humble and she just wants to help people, and she said to me, she said, well, it was December of this year. I had like 3 or 4,000 followers. And then by March, meaning 3 months later, she had 300,000 followers.
What?
Yeah. And I'm like, whoa. What did you just say? But what I wanted people to hear was that was all from this marrying of making these difficult moves that you're called to make, right? She went, you won't go if you don't, what did you say? You won't know if you don't go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. She went, right? She took the leap of faith multiple times in her own personal life. And then it's like marry that with a passion to serve others. And that's the success that everyone's looking for, right?
Yes.
We're all out there kind of on these paths that might be the path that our parents wanted us to take, or society wanted us to take, or we're creating the content that, the people tell us to make. And it's like, why am I not getting traction? And it's like, because when you live from that authentic God-given calling and passion, that's where everything lies. And so I see that with you. It's our own story with how we came to work together. I'll tell that story in a second, but tell me a little bit about this Jack Canfield background, because this is such a cool story. It's actually when I met you, you were working with Jack Canfield. You still do. Yeah. How did that come to be in your life? And what does that work look like? If you guys don't know, Jack Canfield is the man behind Chicken Soup for the Soul. He's one of the greatest thought leaders of our generation, changed the world massively in so many ways. The success principles, I always call it my Bible. It's literally the Bible for personal growth. The success principles, everybody should read it. So how did that happen on your journey, Romeo?
Yeah. So around 2006 or something like that, I picked up the success principles. I've read it several times. And when I moved from Los Angeles back to the Bay Area, I had my acting school, and I saw in a parent magazine that Jack Canfield was going to speak in a nearby city. And I went, boom, bought the ticket. I was so early to see him do a sound check, right? And I was just observing him and seeing how he was just kind of working the stage before everybody came in. And then he walked down the aisle, and I go, hey, Jack, I'm Romeo. In fact, and I go grab the book. I go, hey, I'm really a big fan of your work. I work with the youth. And the book was all like torn up, highlighted. And that caught his attention. He decided to sit down with me and start asking me more of what I did. And that just led to a deeper conversation. And he said, I have this event called Breakthrough to Success. I would love to give you a scholarship. Here's my business card. And then, technically when the event starts, the speaker, performer, whoever it is, they go backstage. But even when the lights went down, he was still sitting with me. I'm like, this guy's just like a real genuine dude. Yeah. And so I went to a couple of events thereafter. And Breakthrough to Success, that's one of his signature trainings. And that shifted my life. From mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically, in all kinds of ways. And so I ended up doing his Train the Trainer program. And then that led into just me helping out at his events and, these principles are timeless, right? You might learn this principle, but if you practice it again or revisit again, you're in a whole different, time in your life where new blessings, new breakthroughs, new challenges are showing up. And so every year, as much as I was just helping out, I was always a student of all the work he's been creating. And then, soon enough, him and his team wanted me to start hosting his events, help out with the community, and just be his right-hand man and just go into his house, hanging out. He's just amazing. A real cool guy. And I think the part of the big lesson here is like having that mentor, having that guide, because he opened up to help me see what's possible. I was stuck in my my own little bubble, and I knew what was possible. But once you have that mentor, that guide, that coach, they just open you up to just a new way of thinking. And that helped me step into my purpose, my calling more confidently.
So good. So good. And such a meeting of not just you thinking, Jack Canfield is this amazing human. Like, I know you were such a gift to him. And just that whole experience is so amazing. And one of the things you touched on that I think is so important to hear, and it's something that isn't talked about enough, and I think it's worth reiterating, and I know you get this, is, you and I are big consumers of all things personal growth. Every book that comes out, I probably get 3 books a week shipped to my front door from Amazon. People send me all their books. I'm like, how do these people get my addresses? I love it, but like books just show up all the time. I consume so much, but where I've really grown is when I've gone extremely deep and repetitive on certain people's work, right? We can listen to the podcast. We can listen to this book. We can read this book. We're on to the next book. We're on to the next book. We're on to the next podcast. For instance, Brendon Burchard, Jack Canfield, Tony Robbins, I would say for me are my top 3. The things that they teach, the frameworks, the processes, the work, the actual work, not just listening to something passively, but putting pen to paper and doing the work. I've gone through their practices dozens and dozens and dozens of times. And what you said is you go deeper, you arrive at a different level, you have another moment of clarity. The work keeps working. And so I don't want people to dismiss, I read that book or I heard about that framework. What do you say about that in regards to when you find something that works, go back to it a dozen times, right? Because it keeps working.
Yeah, as Tony Robbins or Jim Rohn says, repetition is the mother of skill, right? Being able to repeat and learn again and again. And it, like a lot of these martial artists talk about having that white belt mentality. As much as you are a black belt, as much as you are a master at what you do, be open to learning. And that's what makes these successful people successful, is because they're constantly learning, constantly staying open to the gifts. And more importantly, kind of like what you're talking about, is we don't have to read 50 books, but if you go in on the 1, the 2, the 3, like right now, I think I mentioned to you before, like 10X is easier than 2X, right? It's the Diane Sullivan book. Like I'm immersed into it. I'm like, this is a book I just want to just like revisit, highlight, go back. What am I practicing? What's not working? What do I have to go into? Like treat it like a training. Yeah. And so I think it's important for us to not just like learn something and leave, but at the same but what's most important is being able to learn that information and start practicing implementation, right? Yes. I have a little equation here, and it's information plus inspiration plus implementation equals transformation.
Yes. It's funny because as I'm talking about this, I wasn't even thinking about, I'm reading one of Russell Brunson's books right now, and I love Russell Brunson. And same thing. I'm a really fast reader. Like I can speed read. If I was to pick up a fiction book, I don't really read fiction, but I can speed read. And I'm reading I'm sitting down for 30 minutes and going through 5 pages because I'm in my journal, I'm doing frameworks and I'm sitting there and thinking about how this applies to my business. And I'm, ChatGPTing things. I'm literally reading it like sentence by sentence by sentence. And then in the car, I'm listening to the same thing I just read, right? Yeah. It's so different to take a piece of work that can change your life and to go through it like that versus just skimming through the book cover to cover onto the next book. So I love that we landed there.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So good. So good. So talk to me about, you said in the beginning, more flow, less force. How do you tap into that on a daily basis? Like, you are such a joyful, energetic, high vibe person. How do you find that every day?
Really good question. I love talking about this stuff right here. Number one, there's been a lot of inner work that has allowed me to get to this point, and it's still going to be a continuation of this inner work. And so a few things that come to mind. Number one, it's that I like to practice that one concept, high intention, low attachment. I intend for great things to come, but if it doesn't work out, it's okay, because whatever gift was supposed to show up is supposed to show up. The other thing that I do, as you probably do too, I know you do, is the whole morning ritual, right? Yeah. My morning ritual consists of reading something positive for like 10 minutes, and then reviewing the goals, visualization, affirmations, meditating, and then writing in a gratitude journal, and then working out. I had a podcast interview with Jack Canfield, and one thing he shared, and again, these are all just great reminders. He said, I was part of a book, and this guy interviewed, I don't know how many billionaires. And he said the one thing they all had in common is that they all meditated. I'm like, really? How about like them being busy and all that? They do all that because they take at least a moment, whether it's 1 minute and maybe it's 10 minutes, and meditating might look different for other, different for other people, but it could be like sitting quietly. It could be listening to audio. It could be walking in nature, but practicing meditation was key, and it helps me because there's that saying that states, it's your inner world that creates your outer world. Yes. And then on top of that, it creates a force field, a force field that, if anything comes my way, and we know that once we get out of our bed or leave that room, or, once we leave that house, you got emails, you got texts, people are asking for all these requests. But at least for me, once I ground myself and tap into my higher power, to my inner world, and am really in tune, whatever happens allows me to not be reactive, but respond accordingly. Right.
Yeah. I love that so much. I mean, yes, my morning process is key. And, I see so many people go through this process where they start doing a morning process, and some of them are like, I don't think it's doing anything. But then they're like, but you wouldn't believe what happened. And I'm like, so there's a direct connection. You might not think it's doing anything, but you're rewiring, you're pre-paving, you're right, like leveling up your energy, your vibration into the right place. And when you go into the world in a different energy, as much as people might push back at this, like we attract what we are, right? It's like so much, we can all understand that we've all walked into a room. And this is kind of when I say, when people are like, I don't know about this whole energy thing, like, have you ever walked into a room and you're like, oh gosh, oh geez, somebody's in an argument. Like, you just know, and you literally feel it in your body. I'm like, that's energy. It's the energy that's coming out from these two people that are obviously in an argument. It's the same thing with us day in and day out. And, going back to how you and I met. So I was out in Utah, and I was just having like one of the best weekends ever. I get to that probably one of the highest vibrational states ever for me is when I'm just surrounded with other thought leaders, with people that are just, entrepreneurs that are on fire, that are positive. And I was around all of these people and these humans. And, somehow I end up at like dinner with, just incredible names. I shall name no names, but like, how in the world did I end up in the room with these people? And so just super high vibes, super fun. You and I meet and, instantly hit it off. And the irony of that was you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be in Charleston in like 3 days. And I was like, mind you, we're in Salt Lake City. And I kind of looked at you because everyone always mistakes Charleston for Charlotte, North Carolina, because Charlotte's more of the big city where everything happens. And I was like, oh, you probably mean Charlotte. And you're like, no, I'm going to be in Charleston on Thursday with Jack Canfield. You want to come? And I was like, Are you, what like, are you joking? So our worlds not only intersect and we meet each other for the very first time in Salt Lake City, but 3 days later, we're in my hometown with Jack Canfield going through that whole process, like mind blown. And then this is the picture I want to paint. And I don't paint it to say like, look at me, life can be so easy, because I work really hard and I'm super intentional every day and all the things. But when I launched the Energy Institute and my business partner said, hey, we're going to have to bring in a third person. Like, we need somebody to like run the community, you know, bring the energy, bring the hype. I was literally like, oh yeah, I know who that is. I mean, we didn't even have a conversation. She's like, who? Like, who on earth? Like, how are we going to find this person? You think most people in that situation would be doing like rounds of, you know, dozens of interviews. And I was like, no, it's Romeo. He's like, I know it's him. You know, just a knowingness. Wow. And I have no idea if you were going to say yes at the time. But like, of course, then I do reach out and you're like, well, I'm in. Yeah. You know, and like, those are the types of major moves that can happen in your life and your business. Yes. When you're in that flow state, when you're setting the intention, when you're aligning your energy. I mean, I'm sure you have a million stories like that, but what jumps to mind for you that's so like much. Just stands out? Yeah. So much.
I'm exploding with all these different things I want to share. But one of them is like gratitude. Like gratitude is key. Like Jack Canfield says, all manifestation begins with gratitude. Yes. You know, be grateful for the small things. Be grateful for the things that aren't working out. Be grateful for the big things. The way I look at gratitude also is like fuel for a car, right? What GAS, I love acronyms. What GAS stands for is gratitude attracts success. Right. And it's that saying that states, you know, it's not happy people that are thankful, but it's thankful people that are happy. And so now, don't get me wrong. There are times when I wake up, I'm like, I don't feel like being grateful. I'm tired. I don't want to be grateful. I don't want to do anything today. Right. Yeah. But I snap myself out of it and just get into this, you know, I created a habit, right? It becomes like a daily practice, like going to the gym. And so gratitude becomes a big thing for me.
So big.
And the other thing that comes to mind is just environments, like surrounding yourself around the environments, energies, and people that, you know, you see yourself wanting to be around and that will evolve you, not dissolve you. Yeah.
Oh, so good.
Inspire you, not expire you. Deposit into you, not withdraw from you. Expand you, not contract you, right? We have to be mindful or take inventory of those things because most of the world, unfortunately, depending on your perspective, can be negative. But I love your post the other day, you know, after the Super Bowl, is like just coming from a place of love. Like when you align yourself with love, you will continue to attract loving opportunities. And if there isn't loving opportunities around you, you be that love, you be the miracle, you be the energy you wish to see in the world. And so and then the last thing I want to say around this is just really tuning into your higher power, whether it's God, universe, higher self, because that really helps, at least for me, ground myself and then realigning with what I'm ultimately called to do. And every day isn't perfect, but again, it's a practice and I do the best that I can. And then at the end of the day, while there's a morning ritual, at the end of the day, and this is something I learned from Dan Sullivan, and you might have a similar practice, Maura, it's, you know, writing down three wins that obviously there's a lot more you can write, but writing down 3 wins and then writing 3 wins that could make tomorrow even better. Right. So being intentional the morning before. And for those that don't know, Dan Sullivan, he's, you know, considered the number one entrepreneur coach in the world. And so being able to, again, listen to these different coaches, mentors, guides, investing in different communities or investing in different teachers. If you don't have the resources or funds to invest in all that, it's all free on YouTube, podcasts like this one, so forth and so on. And so being open and being the gift through it all is important.
So good. So good. I love what you ended with there, because I used to call it like bookending your day. You know, we hear a lot about morning process, and this doesn't have to be like some grueling activity you do at night, but I am a real big believer, and I'm also guilty of slipping into, habits that I don't want to slip into, like watching some, crazy thing on Netflix right before I go to bed. It is so real. And Wayne Dyer talks a lot about this. I'm sure Jack Canfield does too. But literally what you put into your mind, the moments, the minutes, maybe the 30 minutes before you go to bed, your brain is literally like marinating in that for the next 6, 7, 8 hours, however long you're sleeping. And it's so apparent to me. And maybe this is God, like just being like, hey, just a reminder, do you see what's happening here? Because I can watch something and then I'll have nightmares. And I'm like, so obviously that's just what's rolling through my brain. And then you wonder why you have anxiety. You wonder why you feel unsure of yourself. You wonder why you have anger the next morning. It's like, man, when I was really intentional about swapping that out and being like, I'm going to literally force my finger not to hit the Netflix button on my phone. And I'm going to put my phone down and I'm going to pick up a book. Those mornings I wake up and I feel like the female version of Tony Robbins. Like it's like bubbling out of me. I have things I want to share on social. I have podcasts I want to make. The inspiration is endless, but such a huge part of that is what am I putting into my mind and my heart right before I go to sleep. So what would you say about that?
Good. Oh, so much, because again, it's our inner world that creates our outer world. It's whether it's food, whether it's our thoughts, whether it's the words we take in. So I spoke as, in Dubai in October, and the audience were like owners of shopping malls or building the next biggest building in the world. And part of my limited thinking is like, who am I to talk to them? And then I had to shift that
You're
thinking.
Romeo Marquez Jr., by the way.
I had to shift that thinking and go, of course I'm here, right? And so they were talking about AI and business, and the way I approach the talk, and as it relates to some of the things we're talking about, is I shared 4 AI tools that that's going to help their team, their leadership, and their personal life. And that the first one was awareness intelligence, being aware of what's working and what's not working. Number 2 is alignment intelligence, aligning yourself with the energies, environments, and people, like I mentioned earlier around that, so that you can, feel inspired and empowered. And then you got affirmations intelligence, realigning with the thoughts and energies that you take in, because again, those affirmations, those words here you go. Words create worlds, right? You can use your word as a weapon or a wand, right? It's really up to you. And then the last that I shared there was appreciation intelligence. What you appreciate appreciates. It gives value, and what you underappreciate loses its value. And then I did a training a couple weeks ago, and I thought about a couple more AI tools, and that is attention intelligence. Where are we bringing most of our attention, right? As we know, where life goes, where energy flows. The other one was abundance intelligence.
Oh, yeah.
Side note, and we'll talk about this later, around the Energy Institute, we talk a lot about over there. So align yourself with the Energy Institute, but abundance thinking, abundance actions. And then the last AI tool I'll share here is to go all in. Stop playing small. Stop settling for less than what you are called to do, and have. Like, you are called to do great things. So this is the year to go AI all in, because this is not only going to be your best year yet, but it's going to be your blessed year yet.
Oh, so good. So good. At first I was like, oh, what are the AI tools? I need to go get a notebook. But those are the best AI tools that I could ever imagine, because I agree with every single thing you said. So what was coming up for me, and again, I listen to these little whispers, even in real time, was that so many people are struggling, right? They're struggling with maybe the job that they hate or the body that they're living in. And you and I both know things don't shift until you practice that appreciation, you shift your energy, all of that. What would you advise somebody, whether it's the job, the body, the relationship, whatever it is, because it's so hard to shift your thinking away from the negative experience you're currently living in to attract the new thing, right? You're never going to get out of it if you're focused on the negativity of it. So how do we do that, Romeo?
So several ways, so many ways. One that comes to mind is, grab a notebook, grab a notebook. You can write. I don't have a pencil. Okay, or a pen. Here you go. So I'm going to show you. If you're listening to this through audio, make sure you watch the video. So I'm just doing a line. Bam. So there's a line. Bah. So you write, limited thinking and then possibility thinking on the other side. So the current thoughts you might have, it's again, taking inventory of what are the current thoughts that's not serving you. I'm not good enough. I'm tired. I don't have the resources, so forth and so on. And hence we track more of that. And then on the other side, the possibility thinking is what could be the opposite of that? It's I am enough. I have the resources, but Romeo, it doesn't feel real. I know, going to the gym the first time, it sucks, but you have to continue to go to the gym so that your muscles strengthen because your mind is a muscle, right? And so being able to strengthen that, and your words can be muscles to strengthen you internally. So that's one thing. So being able to rewire your brain with the words that you're using, even though it's uncomfortable. That's number one.
Yes,
number two, as much as you feel like you don't want to appreciate anything, I promise you, appreciation isn't some woo-woo energy.
Yeah.
This is scientifically proven. Jim Quick he posted something about the other day about how the brain works when it gets into the gratitude mode. I'm like, oh, this isn't just some fun, energy stuff. No, this is scientifically broken down. So gratitude. And if that means for you to just write down 5 things you're grateful for every day, that can make all the difference. I mean, writing down 5 things every day, 5 times 7, that's 35, 35 times 4. I don't know what that is. 7, 140. You do that whole month. Think about how many times you were grateful, maybe 10 times. But imagine if you spent a month doing that little practice, which takes less than maybe 2 minutes, and you're grateful for 140 things. So in other words, you have more reps that you're putting in.
Yeah.
And then one other great exercise, and I'm throwing different exercises here, is writing down a 101 success list. And what's a 101 success list? I learned this from Jack Canfield. A 101 success list is writing down 101 things you consider a success, whether it's getting a job, a reward, accomplishing this new milestone, right? I remember when I did it, I got up to 30 and I'm like, what else? What else is a success? And then I went, graduated first grade, second grade, third grade, fourth grade. And then I got up to 46 or whatever, 47. And then I was like, what else? And then it allowed me to go deeper. Anyway, it'll allow you to think about the small things I got to spend time with my parents during a vacation. Oh, my dad was there to watch my first touchdown when I was in high school. You start thinking about the small stuff and the big things come up. So from there, you look back at it and you take a look and you think about all the things you had to go through and all the doubts and the fears and the things that you felt didn't make sense, but you overcame those. So this is basically an inventory list of whatever's taking place right now. You have the arsenal, tools, and the mindset and are capable of breaking through whatever it is you're trying to achieve, right? Sometimes we can get stuck because we don't know what we want or because this environment is unfortunate, but you have the ability to break through all those things because you've done it in the past based on this list, based on the things you're grateful for, and based on some of the words that you're telling yourself.
Oh my gosh, it's so good. So many of the things you talked about are in the High Vibe playbook that I have, but that exercise you just talked about, oh my goodness, it's one of the most powerful things you can do. I always say when you're looking forward, when you have clarity and you have this big goal or this big dream and you're so intimidated by it, you're so scared, there's such a, big gap between present you and that version you think. And it's I always say you have to look back, right? You have to look back and build a case for yourself. You have to stack 101 things that you have broken through, that you've accomplished, that you've risen out of, that you've conquered. And like, once you look at that list, you're like, wait a second, who am I not? Who am I not to go get this thing? And until we start to do that work for ourselves and champion ourselves, unbelief and insecurity is just such a real thing. And I think the other thing, and I would love to hear your take on this, is so many people think that successful people, the people that are maybe living the dream that they want to live, don't experience that. And it was never truer for me when I became number one in our company, and it was like several 100,000 people, and everyone was kind of looking to me like, oh, she's number one, she did it. And I'm like, I woke up every single day and was racked with like fear and who am I to think I could do this? And every day I had to sit down and build that list and look at that thing. And like, I had to be my own cheerleading squad, right? I had to wire every day. It wasn't like I sat down one day and did an exercise and was like, yeah, so for the next 9 months, I just woke up every day and thought, I'm going to make this happen. No. 365 days in a year, I didn't think it could happen. And I had to build the belief daily. And so I would love for you to speak into successful people and how they deal with the same things,
Yeah. Like, again, with this personal development, it's also the study of success, studying like the winning mindset. And even just talking to Jack, he, not to put Jack on blast, but he had like doubts come in his mind, fears come up in his mind, and like, oh, great, I have to do this presentation. I mean, he loves doing that, but there's the other parts of the presentation that's not like his thing, right? But just to see somebody I've always looked up to, I'm like, oh, he's normal. He goes through these same things. And then I go deeper into like, these documentaries, whether it's like studying Michael Jordan or another entrepreneur or athlete, and they all struggle. But I think the big part of it all is they all have a guide, a mentor, and it's part of the process. That's the big thing. It's all part of the process. It's part of the season. If the season isn't working in your favor right now, it's because you're being grounded. This is the season where it's time to water. It's not a time to grow. So know that whatever it is you're going through, and if you feel like delays are happening or things aren't working the way you'd like to, it's all part of the process. Sometimes we feel like a failure in that process because it's not working, but it's a reminder that failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of success.
Right.
And the last thing is, the one thing that I do notice with these successful people is they use Chat GPT. Not the Chat GPT I'm talking about that everybody's talking about, but chatting good, positive thoughts, chatting gratitude thoughts in their mind, and continuously aligning themselves. And every day isn't always easy, but they systematize things. Visualize, systematize, and you'll realize.
Oh, so good. So spot on. I mean, I couldn't agree with you more. Even in my own journey, I wrote this journal, this book, probably 10 years ago. I revised it last year. And if I didn't have literally the questions to prompt me every morning, if I didn't have, okay, now pray, now gratitude, now this, it's like, I need that to check all the boxes, to go through the repetitions, to anchor in every single morning. I personally am never going to leave it up to me to just like sit on the couch and go like, okay, I'm going to do all these things that I've heard about. It's like, I need to follow a system to make that happen. And you just said that so beautifully. Romeo, I love this conversation. You and I could literally sit here for hours and talk. So we won't do that to the people because they can find us in the Energy Institute.
That's right. I didn't know we started the conversation. I didn't even get to the good stuff yet. No, I'm just kidding. But yes, the Energy Institute.
The Energy Institute. So guys, if you're like listening to this and you're like, what the heck is the Energy Institute? So real quick, my partner and friend, Aaron King, and I decided to build something together 2 years ago. Again, the magic behind how this transpired. We barely knew each other at the time. I'll tell you the really like 60-second version. We barely knew each other. I thought she lived in Maryland. I call her up one day at like 3:00. And I'm like, wait, where are you right now? She's like, Orange County. I'm like, what are you doing in Orange County? That's so coincidental. I'm flying there tomorrow morning. And she's like, I live here. And I was like, you live in Orange County? I thought she lived in Maryland. Anyway, because we connected, we both grew up in Maryland. So lo and behold, I end up being like, well, I was, you randomly came to mind, listen to the whisper, right? Am I really just going to reach out to this almost stranger and like ask her for guidance? And she's like, that's so crazy. I was thinking about you, right? So we go on this beach walk. By the end of an hour-long beach walk, we decided to launch a business together that was coincidentally so much of my expertise and her expertise coming together. And what we decided to build was something that would change the world. This is such a high level opportunity for people. It's part community. There's a course in there. There's masterclasses from some of the greatest thought leaders in the world every 2 weeks, all teaching and training on the energy of money and wealth. So nobody has ever done this before. We created an app because, when we do things, we go big. So we're like halfway through, we're like, wait, why don't we just build an app? So the Energy Institute is an app. And one of the things I just really want to articulate without sounding kind of, cringe is the fact that when we sat down with our board of advisors, these advisors are people that advise Tony Robbins, Brendon Burchard. When we were building it out, they were like, guys, this is obviously such a high level mastermind situation where you have to charge X amount of dollars. You can only have so many people in the room. You're offering so much value. And Aaron and I just couldn't deny that we knew we were called to serve the world. We knew that we were called to serve anyone and everyone that could barely afford something like this. And so we went against the grain a little bit and decided to make it something that was so inexpensive because we would rather help thousands than, 25 or 50 people in a high level mastermind. So the cost is super cheap, because we just know that this work will change your life. It will unlock the possibilities for you in your business, in your sales, in your conversions. It really will change your whole entire life. And that is my life's greatest work, is in this bubble of the energy work and the energy of money. And so I get to do that with Aaron and Mr. Romeo Marquez Jr. So we're so excited. Romeo is actually the head of the community. So do you want to talk just a little bit about kind of what you're doing in the community and what that looks like?
Yeah, just first, the Energy Institute is energetically inspiring to like tap into every day. It's like on my homepage. It's like, I don't put it up here, like on the top or whatever. I put it down here because that's where my thumb naturally goes. And so I just click it right away. Bam, the Energy Institute. It's like right there. And the money mantra is yours, the one you had today. And yes, it realigns me because, I'll be out of whack and I have all these things I need to do. But the money mantra realigns me. The community aligns me. Like one of the things that I talked about, or I had this inspired thought to post today, was accountability generates energy. And then I asked them in the community, what are the 3 things you want them to do? So just being able to not only learn, but being part of a community, and more so in between the things you're learning, we want you to take notice of what's happening when you shift your energy. Because again, we're not here to throw more information at you, but to start implementing and to take notice of the nudges, of the inspired moments, to tune into of what's possible rather than what's impossible. And so that's the alignment of abundance. That's the alignment of the Energy Institute. And so we do have challenges. We do have the master classes. What I just get most excited about is just tuning in every single day, because at least I know I have access to a safe space and place to activate and be inspired with resources that are going to help me, which in turn will help other people live out their greatness.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's said so much that like business success is really 80% psychology and 20% strategy. We all spend most of our hours on strategy. We're not spending the bulk of our hours on the psychology. And when people say the psychology, what is underneath that is your energy, right? So all of the things that we're teaching in the Energy Institute directly impact your energy, which is your frequency, your vibration, and how you attract things. But also we're doing that by shifting your psychology, you know, and when you unlock that, every great business leader in the world will tell you that's really where success happens, right? We can give everybody the business strategy. Not everybody succeeds. It's the psychology and the energy that changes everything. So I am so thrilled that you get to do this with
and I'm
us.
so grateful that you guys even asked me. It's really an honor to be with, doing it with you all.
Oh, well, we're so excited. So guys, we'll link all that. We'll link Romeo's Instagram. We'll link the Energy Institute. Romeo, is there any place else that people can find you and what you do in the world?
Yeah, they can, in addition to Instagram, I'm going to be launching a new season of the podcast, The Romeo Show.
Awesome.
You can also check out my website. On my website, there's this freebie called the 7 Micro Habits to help you stay focused and get more done. You could just go to RomeoMarquezJr.com. And yeah, Instagram is where I'm most active in the social media world.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, just last words before you close it off, as I talk about all the positivity and all these things, like 2023 was the hardest year of my life. It was the year that my dad passed, who was like my dear friend. It was the year that 9 other people passed away, whether it was friends committing suicide or uncle gets cancer or uncle gets hit by a car. So it was like, And then my wife decides to divorce me. I'm like, okay, what's happening right now?
Wow.
Right. And so fortunately, I am taking the tools that I practice. And when moments like that come up, the question I ask myself, who's Mr. Positive, energetic Romeo when doo-doo really hits a fan? When it gets really hard. And while it was difficult, it was hard, but I was able to navigate that energy to turn that pain into purpose, pain into power, pain into things that are more positive that will help the world in a greater way. And so as I approach life now, it comes from a deep sense of purpose. And two quotes that I'm reminded of, or that I like to be reminded of every day. And the first one is, it's an Abe Lincoln quote who said, "It's not how many years you live in this life, but how much life you live in these years." Right.
Yes.
And number 2, if somebody might have passed in your life or just a difficulty that might be taking place, one quote that helped me, especially during my dad's passing, was it's a Wayne Dyer quote who said, "If you only knew who walked beside you at all times, you would never experience doubt or fear again." And so I feel like I have my dad, God, my angels. And, there's that, I'm going to kind of mess up this Maya Angelou quote, but it goes something to the effect of, people see me as one, but I stand on the shoulders of 10,000. And so the life you're living, continue to live that out fully, because what life stands for, LIFE, it stands for living in full expression. LIFE, love in full expression. LIFE, let inspiration flow every day. Let your intuition free every day, because you're guided. You are called to do great things. And this is your moment. No more waiting. This is your time, and your time is now. And when you do it now, you have new opportunities waiting. NOW, new opportunities waiting.
Do you guys understand why I wanted this man? Why I was literally, there's only one person that can be the chief energy officer of the Energy Institute. No questions asked. Romeo, you are such a gift. You are such a big, bright light. And I've seen you walk some of those hard paths, and you don't waver. You don't waver. It's a testimony to the work that you've done, who you've transformed into. And I mean, I count my lucky freaking stars that I get to do business and life with you and just have you on this podcast. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor and a gift to not only have this conversation with you, but to be a part of the Energy Institute with you and Aaron. And I always appreciate our conversations, because when we vibe, it's a high vibe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No other way to do it. Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you for tuning in.
you.
Share this on your socials, share it with your friends, tag Romeo and I. We would love to hear back from you. I know for a fact that I'm in my DMs, Romeo's in his DMs. So if you message us on Instagram, we'll respond. We'd love to hear back from you. And until next week, you guys, make it a high vibe week. We'll see you next week. Bye.